I know a lot of people got varying opinions about this, but it's one thing for sure, it ain't going nowhere. Today, we're gonna be talking about 3 different ways that I use AI to level up my content. My name is Adison Hardyway, and this is a channel that I've dedicated to helping content creators grow in unique ways, and also talking about some of the experiences I have as I continue to grow as a content creator myself. So let's go ahead and hop straight into it. And I guarantee you, the last method that I bring up, I don't think nobody's doing it. So this first suggestion that I have comes from a lot of people wanting to know how I create my thumbnails. Now, I do have experience using Photoshop, Illustrator, and a few other graphic design tools. And for a majority of the content that I put on this channel and my reaction channel, I've actually made those thumbnails myself. I have also recently started to experiment with outsourcing some of that. This particular tip is gonna come from a place for people who may not be knowledgeable about graphic design, or who may not have the funds to necessarily pay somebody to make their thumbnail every single time they need a video made. A lot of people have posted tons of videos talking about how to generate AI thumbnails. And in my personal experience, some of them look pretty cool, but some of them, it gets a little weird. With this method that I'm telling you right now, you're gonna be able to dial in very specifically so you don't get that wonky AI look. Quick announcement, this tool is something that you're gonna have to pay for, but we're gonna go ahead and head over to Higgsfield. Within Higgsfield, I'm gonna use something called InPaint. And for today's example, I'm gonna use a thumbnail that I already have created as a reference to make a thumbnail that I want to have a similar style. One of the cool things about this is it is pretty good at blending these thumbnails. Just to give you a heads up, here's one thumbnail on this side that was already created, and then this is the thumbnail that I have on this side after prompting and changing a few things, and you can see it looks pretty good. So for the thumbnail generation I've been talking about, we're gonna go over to Higgsfield, and what we're looking to utilize is InPaint. So for this instance, what I essentially did is I took this thumbnail and turned it into this right here. And you can see the areas that I've highlighted, but to go over that briefly, what I did was I took the paint tool, I hovered over the text for the episode number, and I also brushed off the title for the episode, and I kind of just went through it step by step. So essentially what I wrote in here is replace the text with 2 times 4 and replace the Walking Dead logo with a Stranger Things logo. And this is the cool part about this, is because you can also upload the particular images or references that you want to incorporate within it. Let me also fix my spelling of stranger. We'll take the Stranger Things logo, add that there. And then for our first iteration, that's the only change. I also do want to specify, do not modify anything else. Also keep the aspect ratio the same. Let me fix my these. Which is 16:9, and then we will begin to generate that to do its thing. Again, I'm redoing this just for the purpose of you all being able to see how I went through this, just to kind of show you how well this tool works. It's gonna spin and do its thing, and it looks like it's gonna cost me 3 credits for this generation. But if we click back over to here, we'll see that it changed our text, added our logo. I also have downloaded an image of the character that I want to replace. I know, crazy image, right? We're gonna implement this time, and we're gonna select the current generations. Me, I like going in steps. Some people may like to try to do everything all at once, but I like to see minor iterations. And then now, what we're gonna do is delete what we don't want changed. I just have the wheel. We're gonna go ahead and remove this. First off, I'm just gonna go in and highlight all of the woman here whose name is Maggie from The Walking Dead, which is one of my favorite TV series, by the way. Now that we have her selected, what I'm gonna type in is replace the image of the woman in the frame with this image of Will from Stranger Things, and make sure it stylistically matches with contrast and lighting and color as well. And since I've highlighted over the text, I'm going to want to make sure that text still stays in front. So let me write something within the prompt that alerts it to keep that there. Keep the text over top of the replaced person in the image. Keep everything else the same. And then I'm going to reinforce that I want the aspect ratio to be 16:9 again, because in my testing, sometimes when I don't put that in there, I notice that it will try to change the dimensions. So because the reactors are the same within this series, I didn't want to change them. Let's go ahead and make this change. We'll see how close it turns out to the previously generated thumbnail that I did. All right, let's see. As you see, it did a good job of replacing Will. It even added a green tint to his hair, which is really cool, because that's what I meant by putting make sure it stylistically matches the contrast and lighting. Did the green tint, you see that it kept the text over top of the image perfect. But just as a cherry on top, let's see if I can change the color of the smoke. Change the green tinted smoke to more of a red colored smoke. Do not change anything else and keep all people just as they are. Keep the text over top of the smoke and people well. Oh, let's get this corner there, because I see a little area there that I didn't touch in this corner there. We'll see how this is. We'll see how this works. Let me also go ahead and go around this shoulder right there. And while we're waiting on this prompt to run, if y'all are new here to the channel, please consider subscribing and hitting the bell. It really helps get the content out there. Appreciate y'all so much for all the love and support, man. Now let's see what this prompt just did. All right, let's check it out. I'm a little nervous. Let's see though. I'm not gonna lie. That's pretty crazy. It did a really good job. Matter of fact, it did exactly what I wanted. In fact, I'm actually gonna replace the thumbnail with this version, because I did keep the green in the previous one. But that's pretty much how easy it is. You don't even have to know Photoshop. I'm actually super impressed with this one. That's pretty crazy. And I just tested this out because I was looking for a method to share with you all to be able to utilize, especially for those people who may not be as design savvy. Now, there is tons of either hilarious, weird, funny, wonky videos, and depending on how you want to do your content, this could be useful to you. I've used AI video clips in multiple different ways, especially within my reaction videos. So for instance, right here, I was reacting to the Hulk movie and I wanted to transform myself into the Hulk. I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm pretty good at editing, but I ain't like that. The tool in particular that I use for this one is called Pika.art. I'll leave a link in the description from this. Side note, for all of the tools that I'm talking about in today's video, I'm not sponsored by any of these platforms. These are just ones that I have used and I wanted to share them with you. If y'all want to sponsor your boy, man, hit me up. This is one method that you can use. Also, I like to not necessarily break from the flow of the video, but also to try to keep it as realistic as possible. Higgsfield has released a new cinema studio within its suite of platforms, I'll say, because there's several different tools in there that are all pretty cool. And I like this one because it gives a real cinematic element to videos. You can pick the camera style, lens style, a lot of different things. And here within the scene, I was reacting to Game of Thrones, and a sword was thrown in the water. I also wanted to do a cinematic cutscene showing the sword going through the bottom of the water, but at the same time giving people a little quick, hey, go on and subscribe to your boy. So the fluidity stays, but it's also a subtle way that I use AI in a way that's not like too crazy, right? It ain't too weird, but it's also in line with what the user is seeing as they watch my video. So the first thing I did actually with this particular one, as you can see within my queue already, is I generated a image of a sword laying on the bottom of a small creek as fish scurry away. Camera angle from the bottom view under the water of the creek looking up. Aspect ratio, I put ration, but it's still smarter than me, right? Aspect ratio of 16:9, super realistic quality. These are some of the images that it generated for me. I ultimately ended up going with, I believe it was this one right here. I think this is the one that I ended up going with. And then for M frame, I needed something, I believe, similar to this. But what I did is instead of doing the start frame to end frame, because I wanted to show the sword kind of slowly falling to the bottom of the water, I actually just ended up taking my start frame and using some of the camera movement that the Cinema Studio had just by itself, which does not require me to have an end frame. So if I switch from image to video, I'll come down here, I just added my image that was generated, and then I went in to type in the prompt, "The sword slowly falls towards the bottom of the creek as a few fish scurry by." But the particular movement that I used from the presets that they have available is zoom in. So as you see, if you hover over, it gives you a little indication of how to zoom it in. And then if we were to go click on these, you'll see that one's pretty cool. And I have the fish with the subscribe on it. This one right here is kind of neat. That's pretty neat. Then you also see this one's pretty. Let's actually start over. This one's pretty neat too. But there's a lot of commotion right there. It's almost like some crabs or crawfish are right there. And then the fish kind of like scurried, but it looked like he swam above the water. So then use that one. And then we also have this one as well, which I felt like there was too much movement, but I really did like the fish hitting that little Yui. But I ultimately didn't end up going with this one because I felt like it was a little bit too much going on, and I just kept it simple for the video that I did. But the reason I got 4 different generations is because I also opted to have my batch size of 4. You can put this down to 1 if you just want to generate 1, but I wanted options to choose from, so that's why I kept my batch size at 4. That's pretty much how I made that one. Next up, I want to talk about making your own custom transitions. I used to purchase several transition packs, VFX, sound effects packs, and I honestly feel like this method right here is what I'll probably be using a lot more, especially this year, because this is a way that I can have a transition that nobody else has, because one is AI, it never generates the same thing twice, and it's unique. In this particular video, I was shooting a quick little music video for an artist and decided that I wanted to transition them from one scene to another. With most of the options that I'm using here, you are going to need to grab a screenshot of your video. Most times you're gonna need a start frame, but in certain instances that I bring up, you're gonna need a start frame and an end frame. And the purpose of having a start frame and an end frame is because I'm going to pick where I want the video to begin and where I want the video to end, and use AI to blend those two things together in whatever way that it chooses to do after I prompt it. I took a screenshot of the start frame within DaVinci Resolve, and I also took an end frame here. Now, there were some similarities between the start and end frame. The end frame I did light a little bit differently. I had an orange circle in the background, and on the start frame I had a blue circle. And then pretty much I just prompted to transition image 1 into image 2 and spin the artist. Now, if you notice, the transition that it gave me back, or the video generation that it gave me back, was slow, and there's some weird elements about it, but I wasn't too much concerned about this because within the video editor, what I ended up doing is just speed ramping it. I ended up speed ramping this transition, which I will show you here. And that way I ended up smoothing it out using speed ramping within DaVinci Resolve. For the last one, I've asked myself, can I train AI how to edit like me? Let's take a look. I'm gonna just let y'all know I don't feel like I'm all the way there yet, but this could be a step that gets me in the direction that I'm trying to go. I know a lot of people have always asked themselves, if I had 2 of me, how much more work could I get done? A lot of y'all probably especially think that when it comes to editing. And I don't know, I'm on the fence about this particular one. I'm still working out the kinks. If you wanna know more about this method that I use, I highly suggest that you join the Patreon so you can get access to the content creators group that I have on my Discord, where I go in depth about more tools and styles that I use with editing. When it comes to doing reactions in particular, I have a certain method that I go about editing them. I have a few different camera angles. Matter of fact, I made an entire video about how I edit my reaction videos, and I'll link it somewhere within the video or down in the description below. But for this method, I essentially did not want to make any cuts at all. I use markers to indicate where I wanted cuts and where I wanted deletions. And then as I run the script, you'll see that it auto chops and auto edits essentially that entire video down to potentially almost the final format of the video. So now I have my timeline open. I'll come in and I'll begin to drop color-coded markers. Now these color-coded markers are indication of what camera angle I want at one place. So I have blue representing one thing, pink representing one thing, yellow representing something, and then I also have green representing something as well. Now, where it gets interesting is I have also implemented to where if I have a set of 2 red markers, anything between those 2 red markers should essentially be deleted. So I'll go ahead and just randomly place a few more segments of colors here. Now, if I'm actually were to come through and look at it and edit through, I would actually be listening to the video as well as I was going through. But for the sake of just giving you a demo of what my progress is on this, I'm going to begin to just continue to drop markers. But now that I have a few added, I will then come up to my workspace and run my script, and it'll generate a new timeline consisting of all of the cuts that I just did. And if I were to hide this top angle, you'll see as I click through the different areas, it has shifted camera angles and deleted spaces where I removed it. And a quick indicator to check it is this new sequence is 52 minutes, whereas the sequence that I started began is 53 minutes and 25 seconds, which matches up to the time lost after me removing the 2 segments that I did for the example. Again, this is something that I'm still practicing with and seeing how much time it actually saves me. But this was a unique tip that I had the idea for a script for, and I leveraged AI to help me with some of the coding that I did for this particular method of editing. Hopefully the tips that I mentioned in this video could at least get your brain kickstarted on ways that you may potentially be able to level up your content with AI. If any of these tips were useful to you, or if you feel like you got any insight from this video that was helpful, consider dropping your boy a like, drop a comment, let me know what you want to see next. And if you want me to expand on anything I did in this video, let me know. Well, that's it, y'all. Let me get back to some work.